Welcome to the world of Exekiller. We are Kasia and Amadeus, the creators of the game,
and this is Gameplay Overview. Exekiller is a first-person action-adventure game that encourages exploration, rewards curiosity,
and never holds your hand.
You play as Denzel Phoenix, an Exekiller, a corporate bounty hunter.
Exekillers hunt down fugitives and reclaim souls from those who try to escape the system.
One of the game's main hubs is the Tower, a massive fortress city ruled by the Aphelion Corporation. This is where you accept contracts, upgrade your gear, and prepare for missions.
Job well done, contract fulfilled.
The game is structured in chapters, and almost everyone begins and ends in the Tower.
Outside the tower lies a harsh, scorched desert. You travel through it in a heavily modified car designed to protect you from extreme conditions such as heat and radiation. Inside the vehicle, you have access to your computer, storage, and a working radio.
From your
Survival is a core part of the experience.
Inventory space is limited, and every item matters, forcing players to make careful decisions about what to carry and what to leave behind.
Aphelion's high-tech systems allow you to hack devices, pick locks, and access restricted areas.
Your cybernetic implants help you uncover hidden elements and investigate the environment. Missions and level design are fully non-linear. There's no single way to complete a contract. Stealth, dialogue, and combat are all valid approaches and can be freely combined.
In Exekiller, every decision matters.
What's it gonna be? Plata or muerte?
Wishlist Exekiller on Steam.
Welcome back, Aaron. We trust your flight was smooth. We have landed you on the outskirts of Genyak Island. Stay alert.
Hey, Aaron. It's Thomas. You know, your brother. You said you would visit me here, but you never did. Look, bygones be bygones. Just find me in the West Zone. I'll be waiting. Sometimes I dream about what's under the ocean. A distant shore, waiting to be explored.
drops on the faucet. Such a peaceful place to be sick. It's a wonderful way to be free.
Does the moon over the south still shine bright?
him.
Outer rim.
Based on the trailers and based on a bunch of things that I've seen about this game, you can clearly slay dragons. Is that true?
There are dragons in the game, and you do fight them. We haven't revealed just yet whether or not you can actually slay them, but you can fight them, you can fly them.
Can you lay them?
I'm sorry to the Lua fans, but at this point we're not confirming whether or not there's dragon relations.
Could you speak a little bit to how big this game is?
We've been seeing some news out there with some specific numbers floating around about how big the map is. I don't think numbers really do it justice because how big is that in terms of scope and scale? But what we can say is the world's at least twice as big as the open world and playable area of Skyrim. It's larger than the map of a Red Dead Redemption 2. Open world games are about doing things, having activities, having distractions. So we wanted to create a world that's not only massive, but is also incredibly interactive. Obviously, you and your community, Lua, care a lot about romance systems. This is not that type of game in terms of RPG elements and decision making. What it is, though, is you choose the type of character that you want to play as in terms of your progression within the systems in the game. And then through basically headcanon, you're having this very different experience than other players because of the scope and scale of the game. You'll be distracted by something, you'll go on this quest line, you'll have an experience that'll be radically different than someone else, even though they're playing the same game. The guiding principle for the game is around empowering the player and not forcing them into specific choices. There's a lot of time between now and launch in March for us to be able to elaborate on those systems, show people if they have, say, I have an hour to jump in and play this game after work, what is my experience going to look like? So we've done a little bit of showing when you're not in combat, how you're taking advantage and interacting with the world, harvesting resource, gathering them for a whole crafting system that we have in the game for equipment, as well as...
You can build your house, apparently.
There is a house. The world is made to be interacted with, and that's also how you learn about the world. So by talking to NPCs, by picking up chickens, then you've learned and your codex will have been updated about the chicken.
What about things that go beyond like fighting? Is there like puzzles? Is there like different types of quests?
That's a great question. One of the things that we showcased, we had a team over to Korea to do a deep dive kind of behind the scenes last September. They came out and we showed them a glimpse of a bunch of different systems. One of the systems that we showed them was in what we call the aerial abyss. It's those sky islands that you see there. That's a very important and pivotal part in the story and quest and mystery surrounding the world. In those sky islands, there are puzzles. They all have a different vibe, if you will, and then treasures and rewards for completing them.
When can people get the game? Where can they get it? What does that look like for you guys?
The game comes out on March 19th across basically every platform. It'll be available on consoles on PS5, as well as Xbox Series X and S, PC, as well as natively on Mac.
We had some discussions at early stages of the production, to be honest, whether to go fully class system or something else. And again, we started with sitting down and lining up what are possible ways that the player might perceive the game. The power fantasies, how he can express himself in combat. So he might want to be a sniper, he might want to be a hacker, maybe an engineer, something else. As we designed those playstyles, we thought how to mix it up a bit, how to let player to experiment with what he encounters during the game. So, for example, when he finds a neat shoulder cannon, as we've shown in the announcement trailer, even if he's a sniper, he might want to experiment with that. Why not? It fits the universe, it fits the playstyle. He might want to see how it works. And so we decided why not to give him the possibility to do that. That was the idea behind the playstyle. So playstyle is basically the starting preset that kind of gently guides you towards the certain direction of your power fantasy of how you play the game. At some point, the player will need to commit to his choices. So again, it's an important part of the choices system, you know. If you just can switch everything on the fly, that kind of makes your choices less important. So at some point you need to stick to particular guns, particular gadgets, and you just build around them. We give you some time to experiment, but you will need to commit. During the character creation, you will have to choose between three major factions. Your origin, so you'll be either Belter or Earther or Martian. Facial customization, appearance, you can choose your body type.
So you will be playing as a Pinkwater mercenary with different type of origin that you would create. You will have your sibling with the same, like, identical one. They will look a little bit different because they're their own person, they have their own personality. These events are set during the first 3 books, I think. You will start on Iris and witness basically the events from a different angle, and this part will be to some degree shown in your character creation.
Every companion should belong somewhere in the universe, and they have their own background, consisting of their faction and their acquaintance, they have some background story, their own struggles. All this stuff will influence how they perceive the situations player encounters. So in every major plot event, they will have their opinions. They might hint you towards some decisions. They might provide you some assistance, or maybe even some crucial contacts to go for help, for advice, for military support, maybe. Of course, they will have their own stories, their own struggles, and you can choose to help them, or maybe to ignore their own stories, totally depending on how you want to be invested in this particular companion. The choices you make for those companions also will matter in long term.
Yep, some of them will have romances, and you can see on our background companions.
Perfect.
We cannot say who is going to have romance, but there will definitely be romance in our game.
It's a small crew on the small ship. You know, the Expanse, it's a universe where everyone flies in very tight spaces for a very long time. So there is a dynamics in the crew as well. We have a few layers of the combat system. First of all, it's obviously the gunplay, a few classes of weapons that you can use, and mostly you do it from the covers, so it's a cover-based gunplay game. And the second layer of the combat system is that's your abilities. That they might be more like offensive ones, maybe something like a grenade or a shoulder cannon, or maybe something more defensive like a shield, or maybe a protective drone. A lot of gadgets that you can choose from depending on your play style. And as Julia mentioned, there are some play styles that are mostly focused on using your gadgets rather than using your weapons. Third layer, but still very important, that's obviously your companions. They have their impact on the combat. They have what we call combat opportunities. That's particular situations when you can order your companion to use an exploit in the arena, in the environment, to gain a certain advantage in combat. We decided against the management, the gameplay part of the survival stuff. So you won't be counting your gallons of reaction mass or how much water you need to recycle before it dries out. Nothing like that. But still, the Expanse universe is very dangerous. So in terms of narrative, the survival will be a part of the game. You will have a tremendous enemy. You will have a lot of very dangerous situations that you will have to get out somehow. There will be a lot of survival in terms of your player experience, just not as a particular mechanic. You will be able to fly around the solar system. Nice. You will be able to visit various planets. We mentioned it before that we have Luna, Mars, Ceres, Io, and some other cool places to visit. And some of those places will be like major social hubs where you can just walk around, meet other people, drink at the bar, shop for better equipment and stuff like that. So you will have plenty of places to go and to visit and to look at. The Expanse universe is cruel, and some characters might die because of your choices. Stay tuned for more. We'll show more very soon. Have something cooking. I hope you will like it.
Grounded 2 is a survival game. It is set in a gigantic city park. You play as a teenager who has been shrunken to roughly the size of an ant, and you just have to survive in this environment with, insects that are the size of a bus, and figuring out how to eat and get some water and fight those bugs and craft new materials and new weapons. As you go and gain in power and get over those initial survival challenges, you can sort of get into the story of what has really happened in this park. A number of huge updates planned for the park. This is the first big content update that we have. We've been calling it the winter update. It's really about adding in this next big chunk to the park, and that comes with a lot of things that are very, very exciting for us. With this winter update, which is the community garden, is attached right to that early picnic area. On the map, it's just to the east of it, behind the gigantic statue of Tully and Burgle. This was our opportunity to really start delving into a brand new biome with everything that entailed. You've got a vegetable garden, you've got a greenhouse, and you've got a pumpkin patch. All of these introduce a lot of new and different types of artwork and places for the player to explore. And then, of course, we need all the insects that go in these areas too. And so a ton of new insects that are in there. As I love to say, all of these insects, you can fight. Maybe they're docile and you can attack them. Many of them are aggressive and will attack you. And regardless, you fight them, learn their tactics, and then eventually turn them into fashionable attire and new weapons.
Going to a new biome, a new area in the park, allows us to fully lean into what makes the park unique from the backyard. And for us, that means that mixture of really organic structures as well as that man-made touch, that this was designed by humans at human level.
Wasps are coming back, which are a lot of fun to fight but can be kind of annoying. Again, this is a survival game, so excited about those things coming back. Black ants are also coming back too, and like with both of those, you get sets of armor and different weapons that you can craft after you've defeated these creatures. We're more excited about the new creatures that are coming in the garden update, though. So we developed a brand new creature in the cricket. The cricket is pretty big. Again, this is the size of a large bus, probably. It has some very unique attack combinations that are a lot of fun. It can also, of course, jump very, very far. It has its own armor sets. It has its own weapon or weapons that you can craft based upon it. And then the same thing for earwig. And we actually have two different types of earwig. There's sort of a ranged earwig and a melee earwig that tend to travel around together to thwart the player with their strategic opportunities. Again, you can turn those into armor. Of course, turn them into your base furnishings. You can turn them into weapons, and we think they'll offer some exciting and unique combat opportunities.
We really want Grounded 1 players to be excited to see these creatures again, but also to be surprised and delighted by the changes. Just like we did in the picnic area, we've revamped the combat. So that means even looking at the old legacy creatures and going, okay, how do we make them a part of the system? How do we make them challenging in this new dance? How can we leverage our systems to make them more interesting? And so hopefully there's a couple of twists coming, even with the old favorites, that will keep veteran players on their toes and will surprise and delight new players.
We have a brand new buggy, the Ladybug buggy, which you'll be able to get and raise and hatch and then ride around in the yard. And we're pretty excited about all that stuff. I think all of it is coming together just really well.
I think every single Grounded player from Grounded 1 at some point jumped on the Ladybug and let it transport them around. And we often joke that was the original buggy prototype. And there's something so iconic about the Ladybug and getting on it and wanting to ride it that it felt like an inevitability for us. But what's important for us whenever we do introduce a new buggy is we don't want it to just be another one or just a horse, And so it really boiled down to what can the Ladybuggy bring to the table that the other ones weren't? What can make her stand apart and bring a utility and an experience to the player that the other buggies aren't? How can we carve out her own little niche in the game? If she's the tank, she's the one who can get into those really tough fights and withstand those large swarms of insects. And that's where the idea of the water cannon on her back and players being able to shoot at their enemies, and that ended up providing a ton of gameplay opportunities and a really unique experience. Being able to shoot down the aerial insects that are often a bit more challenging and a bit more frustrating for players. Well, now you have this ranged weapon that you can take them down with that feels super satisfying, almost like an anti-air gun. For us, as soon as we crack that, it felt like, okay, there she is, that's her niche, and now it's just about bringing that experience to life and finding moments in the garden experience to really highlight that and let that shine for the player.
Must be here somewhere.
A Dawnwalker is like a special kind of being in our IP. It's neither fully a vampire nor a human. It's something in between. What this means is basically that you, as a Dawnwalker, you have underwent a transformation. You used to be human. And now, during the nighttime, you do get all the powers and the difficulties of being a vampire. So you get the blood craving and so on. But during daytime, these powers are dormant and you still have to eat. You have all the weaknesses of a human, right? But also the perks of being human. One of the things that is unique to humans in our IP is being able to use magic, so casting spells. The Dawnwalkers are not very commonplace in that IP. They are very, very rare, rarer than vampires. So you as a Dawnwalker are kind of special in this regard. I would say the short-term things that have immediate impact on the character development are you have to feed on, either animals or humans on blood suddenly, right? So you get these cravings, you get these like weird, eerie experiences that you didn't have as a human. Brancis and his clique of vampires actually caught him on his low point when he was vulnerable. He has used specific traits of vampiric blood in order to cement his position in the valley. Because, as you might imagine, having a bloodsucker as your lord might be a tough sell. However, if the alternative is getting sick and, dying in thousands, actually it doesn't sound as such a horrible thing. He tries to kind of distort the religious beliefs in order to install himself as a savior of the valley. We do explore this in the game, so you might see, like, for example, statues erected to Brancis, new iconography shown in the local cathedral, for example, and in the castle and so on. There is this whole cult of personality he builds around himself. So he basically shows himself as something better than the old order, right? We do have a mechanic tied to shrines that are erected across the valley. And Brancis puts a lot of attention to kind of twist them to his own image. And these do have a functionality. When you play the game, we have assigned specific functions to them. Generally speaking, one of the things we wanted to achieve in this game is to have Brancis being this active antagonist. In a lot of games, the antagonists are out there to be defeated, but generally speaking, you have free reign, you do your own thing, and it doesn't really, change much in how they approach you. In this game, what we wanted to do is to have Brancis react to your actions as you, complete different activities throughout the valley, as you maybe undermine his operations and so on.
It's kind of like his seal of approval.
Exactly. So it's like, so basically the way you can think about it is like the more you do in the valley, especially if you undermine Brancis, you will gain notoriety. The more notorious you are, the more edicts Brancis will pass in order to thwart you. So, for example, he might send out more soldiers to patrol roads and villages, right? He might, in some extreme cases, maybe even initiate a lockdown of the city to basically hamper your ways of traversing it, right? There is a number of these edicts we have prepared, and each of them is designed to kind of twist and change the general open world gameplay. It also has benefits. There are factions in the valley that dislike Brancis, so the more notoriety you gain, the better standing with them you get, like they actually like that. There is a number of plot lines that you can follow if you want. You can also cut them off because we have added these systems where, For example, you might lose control over Cohen when he's a vampire if he was hungry. You might kill off some important NPCs and then the plotline just cuts off basically, or you get some alternative version. There are some ways to enter the castle in the open world. You can ignore these side plotlines. You can level up Cohen and decide to attack the castle on your own, right?
Out of curiosity, is there romance in the game?
Romance, yes, of course. We have romance options, yes. We didn't delve deep into like with whom yet.
Okay.
And I'll leave that for the future to talk about. However, yes, you can expect to build relationships with characters. Like I said, there is like one main goal, very varying ways to get to it. These different ways that you pick will impact, what happens with Veil Sangora in the end. And it's all up to you. And I think I really recommend experimenting with this stuff and having fun with it.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it is.
It's in the sky, a giant cube. I can still barely believe it myself. When it showed up, I was in the lab. I didn't even see it. I felt that same fear, though. A terrible sense of my own powerlessness. How did the whole of humanity miss it? And did we actually miss it? What if the cube didn't appear, but revealed itself? What if it was always there, and we've only just started to see it?
Charlie to Quebec Romeo Foxtrot. We got your location report. We are monitoring you in the operation zone. Good luck. Over.
Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into our upcoming action RPG, Vahrin's Call. The world of Leda is entirely shrouded by darkness on one side, while scorched by endless sun on the other. These incredibly hostile areas are known as the Forsaken Realms, which, as you may have noticed, is the name of the universe we are meticulously crafting. Your first steps within the Forsaken Realms will take you to the Vale of Vahrin, a city on the brink of collapse, and the first of our narrative-focused adventures. You'll step into the boots of a lone mercenary, seeking to answer Vahrin's call for aid, and maybe earn some gold and glory along the way. It's clear that Vahrin needs a hero, and every hero needs a way to slay the countless fantastical beasts they'll encounter. Vahrin's Call aims to cater to a wide range of playstyles, offering you the freedom to combat the unknown in a variety of ways. Whether you prefer to be a nimble-footed archer, flinging fireballs between arrows, or face your foes toe-to-toe as an axe-wielding whirlwind of death, the choice is yours. The game's classless system means you're never locked into playing a specific way. You have the ability to adapt, alter, or completely switch playstyles midway through your adventure. Unlock and spend perk points to obtain new skills and abilities, and level up your mercenary's core stats by gaining character experience. Hidden chests throughout the world will reward you with a range of weapons, armor, and unique trinkets, some providing unique effects to help you gain an edge in your next combat encounter. The local hamlet of South Vale acts as a hub, a safe space that provides various amenities for you to further develop your character. Use the forge to upgrade the weapons and armor you find throughout the world, and the dismantling bench to deconstruct items for materials. The spellcrafting table can be used to increase the power of your magic. Everything from an area of effect freeze attack that stops the enemy in their tracks, to ripping up the ground from underneath their feet with destructive force. Use the trap making bench to upgrade and unlock new traps and gadgets. A nice complement to your arsenal, allowing you the opportunity to catch your enemies off guard. And finally, the alchemy cauldron. This can be used to custom brew a multitude of mixtures, from replenishing health and restoring stamina to curing yourself of nasty status effects. These concoctions are sure to aid you on your journey. Okay, great. So you've equipped that shiny new helmet, purchased that slightly overpriced magic spell you always had your eyes on, and upgraded that new polybuster barrel to the volatile variant that has even more boom. You're ready to get back into the fight, but maybe you want a change of pace. Yes, you're supposed to be the hero and save the city, but heroes need breaks too. Besides, there's a whole world to explore, and quirky characters from all walks of life need your help with their problems.
Then you've come about the job.
You might find yourself involved in a murder mystery, helping a local peacekeeper catch the criminal behind the death of her beloved friend. Or maybe you're on a mission to rid Vahrin of the Gnomi scourge that plagues the city, all because a crazy guy in an outhouse called you a hero?
I know the truth!
Maybe we should stick to the main task at hand after all. Vahrin's Call is soon to release on PC with full controller support, with the aim of releasing on consoles at a later date. Our game is inspired by classics like Fable and The Elder Scrolls, so if this sounds like your kind of adventure, consider heading over to Steam and adding it to your wishlist to stay up to date with us. Until then, we'll see you mercenaries soon.
My name is Amin Bouafa. I'm a film music composer, and I am the composer for Aphelion, the video game. I remember having a message from Talal saying that he loved the score of Summit of the Gods, and they are working in a new video game, and inviting me to come to the studio and to meet the team. It was very important for me to understand how the music would be interactive. So how to compose, how to write music that would be interactive, with models, with stems, with separating the different elements, and at the same time, how could the music, how the structure of the music would be an evolving structure. It was very important for me first to have the story of Ariane and Thomas, like that the log line is the story, both of them. So there is a theme that conveys this emotional relationship between them. And then the frozen aspect of the music. I mean, for me, it was very important first to feel the cold in the music, to feel the wind, to feel the ice. It's an instrument that had been invented by the Bachet brothers in the mid-20th century. For me, it looks like an alien instrument. When you see it, cannot even predict that it's a musical instrument. To play the instrument, you need to get your hands in water and then rub crystal buttons that are in this metal structure could convey this frozen identity of the score, and at the same time having this magical sense of in the score. There is a sacred feeling also to this planet. It's a huge planet, but I wanted to get this huge instrument and that it could also play very soft. The organ has a lot of sounds. It could be very soft, it could be very aggressive, it could be large, it could be intimate. For me, it's the planet. The planet could be very welcoming and suddenly very, very dangerous and very sacred at the same time. So I thought that the organ could give this majestuous feeling to the score. I'm so happy to write the music for Aphelion. It's the first time for me to write a video game score, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of passion.
Citizens of Nippon, a new dawn rises upon your land. Through progress and technology, we bring prosperity to all. Your nation ripples with mutiny. But our technology will protect your peace. Demands the sacrifice of those that stand in the way of progress. On behalf of your glorious Emperor Mutsuhito, we will bring light where there is darkness. Together, we march into a brighter tomorrow. For peace. For progress. For the Empire.
I would describe this as a brawler meets action RPG. This is an awesome entry into the brawler space as somebody who tends to play a lot of RPGs and MMOs. So I have a lot of brain space and I want to make really cool builds. A little less so in how do I actually dodge and get out of things and find my openings. Early on, I was able to kind of compensate for that by finding nice little gear and little pieces to put together to eventually build my brawler skill set. And I find myself kind of going back and forth as we play test between I'm finding something that's a little difficult here. Well, what can I do with my gear set in order to tweak things? Or is there a different skill that I should pick up for this particular encounter and then be able to go dive right back in? The player is an ace, which is a deathless defender of humanity, which is currently sequestered away on the Belfry, which is McLaren's background over there. It's a tower that was set up for mysterious purposes, but turned out to be a pretty good haven for folks after the fall of their stronghold, the City of Numbers. The player is helping humanity as they can, getting refugees to safety, battling the beastkin that have risen and have become incredibly aggressive, while ultimately attempting to find out why did Numbers fall and what conspiracy is still brewing there.
We wanted players to experience a brawler-type combat inside a Diablo-style RPG gear sort of system, and so we've spent a lot of time over the last 6 months or so taking a ton of feedback from our players to really kind of hone that particular system. So players should be able to come in, pick one of the 4 classes that we have. They'll see a whole new set of skills. They'll find a whole bunch of new equipment. And the idea should be that they should feel like one of several heroes going in and just beating up a bunch of awesome monsters. We've tried to add new enemies, new lieutenants, and new bosses. I think people are going to feel quite the adventure as they go into the updated version of Towerborne. Stoic has always tried to be player first. When we decided to do early access for Towerborne, a lot of that was born out of we had a vision of trying to evolve the brawler into something bigger, something that hadn't really been done before. You can see other games have taken different routes. Some have taken kind of the roguelite route, some have stayed into the traditional. We wanted to kind of expand into more like the true action RPG. And in order to do that, early access was very, very important to figure out what was going to work and what wasn't. Simultaneously, we didn't want to be caught in early access limbo, right? I'm sure this is the kind of things that you would love to talk about. I love to talk about them too. How do you not stay in early access for 7 years? Our intent and purpose was we need to come out of early access solid. And there is a certain point where you just collect everything. Most of the feedback that's coming in either kind of falls into an existing category. Hey, a lot of people have said this thing, maybe you might get something new, but you look at it and you're like, yes, it's new, but it's not reaching the, kind of urgency that some of these other things are. We have a good list of things now. This is kind of what the players have told us. We need to really deliver on that. And the best way we can deliver on that is just, put your head down, focus, and create an experience that I believe is worthy of coming out of early access, that people should look at that and say oh, okay, I see why you did it. Absolutely was worth it. I can see a clear night and day difference between what is in live right now and what I am receiving when you go into the 1.0.
One of the big pieces was that folks were big fans of certain pieces of actual gear that you would earn through the game. But there was no cosmetic version of that. And so you had to make the choice of do I want to look good? Or do I want to look a little janky but more powerful? And so we added the ability to be able to create a cosmetic version of the gear that you earn through writs, which are earned through completing adventures.
And so the idea initially with Towerborne was we just want to make a fun beat 'em up with a light story in the background. We weren't really going to lean into kind of the stoic narrative strength that we have. And we just kind of wanted to take a bit of a breather. And we had expected, perhaps incorrectly, that the community would see it for what it is and be okay with it. But it turned out a lot of people were like, wait, you have something very interesting in the background here. we actually really want to know what's going on. We really would like something more clearly leading us through. And so we've spent a very significant amount of time and resource to put a narrative from the jump. And so there's an arc now. There's a primary antagonist. You will understand that antagonist. You will confront that antagonist, and there will be resolution. And so there's probably a 12 to 20-ish hour story arc now in the game that players can look forward to and feel like there's a resolution to the Towerborne.
Imagine you're playing inside Warhammer universe by the guys who can't use the army, who need to find this particular person in charge of bad things to make Imperium stand for one more day before grumbling to dust. That's basically how I would describe it. Just imagine the true Warhammerish stories where no choices are good, but you don't have an option to go away. You need to get your hands dirty, and it's just a matter of how precisely you will achieve this. One of the most significant changes that any player would experience compared to the Rogue Trader would be more stakes, more value in a surrounding, in any environment that you're playing with. The covers, the line of sights, we read how they are calculated, how they are working, and how much benefit they providing to the party. So it's basically would be more playing around the environment. We abandon the step-up mechanics. So if you're ending your turn behind some wall, you are behind some wall. There won't be one circle around you that allows you to step up of this cover and to shoot at anything. So the place where you start your turn, the place where you're ending your turn would be more significant. Other thing is role-playing model. There are way more roles being made inside the combat. Lots of the things making you roll something, lots of the things make your opponents roll something. So it's not just your weapon skill or ballistic skill, it's way more significant influence of the role-playing choices that you've made previously. Almost all of the combats in the game will have alternative ways to finish them, not just killing all of your enemies. We are allowing player to target specific parts of the body of the enemies, and by doing this we're allowing to make your opponent lose an option to move or lose an option to use abilities. There are different ways how you can tactically approach your desire, your design of how to proceed with the combat. And of course there is a whole new subsystem that came on a change of the momentum. This is a morale system. Momentum was a party-based, and you spend it to activate some heroic moments of your companions. For the Dark Heresy, we feel it need to be more intimate, more personal, and not just for your party. We are not just telling a story through the environment or the words in the dialogue. No, we're actually making cases. We're actually making the culprits. We're actually collecting and interpreting evidence and discussing them with your retinue and analyzing them and making conclusions. There are some other mighty forces inside the scintilla because you're not playing in a vacuum and you need to struggle for power. But most of the time, you are playing as a person in charge, as a person that have authority, and a person who need to make hard choices. One of the most significant ways of the influence of a story for a Dark Heresy would be your decision of which case is more important. For example, there is under Spire slums, and this is a toxic waste. And the level of the toxic sea is growing. And if you are going there as a first place, there will be toxic waste somewhere nearby. And there will be people getting ready to be consumed by the toxic waste. But if you are going there late stage, there will be actual toxic sea, and you will be playing around it. There will be changes in the geometry, and changes in the combat encounters of how they are playing, changes in the narrative behind this, and changing based on the timings, how you decided how you approach this.